What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! My God!
OJ Simpson kills those two people so hard, they stop making the Ford Bronco.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, however good it feels, how many times you're going to do it, and, you know, everything else you can think of. I'm glad you're doing it right here. This is Legal Vices. That's me. This is the channel. Today is OJ Simpson Trial Part 37. Before we get into that, we have to, of course, take care of the shabusiness. The shabusiness today, of course, is the cocktail of the day. Simple cocktail of the day, an absolute classic, something that everyone should know how to make and everyone should enjoy. Today's cocktail is the classic Manhattan, a very, very classic cocktail that everybody should know and love. First of all, you want to take 2 ounces of rye whiskey, 60 milliliters. Put that in a mixer with ice. Then you want 1 ounce of red vermouth, a nice sweet vermouth. 30 milliliters of that. Drop it in. 1 dash of an Angostura bitters. Boom, that's it. Give it a good stir. Get it nice and chilled. Once that is nice and chilled, take your strainer and strain it straight into a cocktail glass. Just like that. And for garnish, you're going to want to drop in or lay across the top some Luxardo cherries. That is a classic Manhattan cocktail. One of my favorites. Okay. Got that out of the way. Now the second item of business. We need to bring on the one, the only bee handler, Remington.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Long time no see. What's up?
Not much. I'm awake. I'm here.
Well, that didn't sound very enthusiastic.
Okay, I'll be more enthusiastic. I love the Manhattan. It's one of my favorite cocktails. I love whiskey cocktails. So sue me. I know everybody is just like, oh, you have to have whiskey by itself, or you have to have whiskey on the rock. Like, no, I like whiskey cocktails. I like a good Sazerac, and the Manhattan is beautiful. It's perfect, and you made it excellently. I love the cherries. You can only do Luxardo.
Yep.
Got to be the Luxardos. I love today's cocktail. I was saying in the chat that I was thinking you would do something more OJ related for an OJ stream.
I was planning on it. Now I got to figure out which cork goes on which bottle.
I was thinking Harvey Wallbanger, but
no, I was gonna go with an Irish Storm, but I need an egg whitening. Forgot I ate all of my eggs for breakfast.
Well, I like the Manhattan. The Manhattan works.
So I just went, oh my God, simplest thing I can whip up right now must be a Manhattan. So
you haven't done a Manhattan yet. I think it's perfect.
All right. Well, shoot. Here we are. We're at the end of an era. We're at the end of Dennis Fung's testimony.
Wow.
27 weeks we've spent with Dennis Fung. That's a half a year.
That's crazy.
Only took us half a year to watch 8.5 days of trial. But we're coming to the end. But it's not the end of OJ. We're going to keep doing this. I've sort of kind of decided, and I don't think I can think of a reason why not. Once we finish Dennis Fung, we're going to go straight into Andrea Mazzola, his assistant, kind of watch her take a few punches. And then I think we'll just go back to the beginning.
Really?
Why not?
Are we going to
do? I haven't decided.
Furman.
I haven't decided. Well, that was middle-ish. That was right towards the end of the. That's actually after this, but I don't know if I want to go back to the beginning of the trial and just go on from now until hell freezes over, or if I just want to go back to the beginning of the defense case.
Well, you can sort of Quentin Tarantino it. You can kind of play the story and like different order, and you are the
Now
master.
that requires too much work because then I've got to look at all the witnesses and go through all their testimony and figure out which ones are interesting. It'll just be one or the other, starting at the beginning of the trial or starting at the beginning of the defense. We'll make it the subject of a poll here in just a little bit. All righty.
Well, I'm happy to watch any and all OJ. Just other aspects of the trial. I've literally seen nothing else besides Dennis Fung this entire time, so I'm looking forward to seeing something different.
Well, we're all about different here. And our first super chat of the day, Nicholas Starr.
Ah, Nicholas. Good evening to Nicholas. I don't know what time it
Shot of
is in Sweden.
whiskey, and my mouth watering is technically a mixed drink. Yes, it is. Whiskey saliva cocktail. Thank you so much for that, Nicholas. I deeply appreciate you kicking us off with the very first super chat of the day. Super chats, as always, are read, guaranteed to get you read if you super chat. Whatever you super chat gets read because you're parting with your hard-earned money. The least I can do is make sure your super chat gets read, acknowledged, answered, etc., etc. Super chats are not required to engage with me, but it definitely does guarantee it gets done. We try to interact with chat as much as possible without derailing the show and whatnot, but stick with us. We do have 2 monthly membership things as well that have been used. RB, member for 8 months of the Clean and Sober Crew, says 8 months already. Time flies when you're having fun. Well, I'm glad you've been here for 8 months. That's quite an achievement and deeply, deeply appreciative. I am deeply appreciative of it, which means I'm deeply appreciated. And Crystal Pontac, who's been a member for 9 months of the Clean and Sober Crew, says, "Hi everyone." Hi Crystal. Thank you for sticking with us for well over 2/3 of a year. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. With that out of the way, let's see what the comments have before we dive straight into the last day of Dennis Fung. Oh, Mr. Fung, I'll miss you. Brave you. Jim Satalis says, legal vices. I just saw a story about 3 dead bodies found at a Colorado campsite, and the sheriff said no signs of foul play. Would the 3 dead bodies in the same place be a damn sign of foul play? Well, unless they had a drug mishap or something like that.
I'd say bare self-deletion, like, Marshall Applewhite style. It's not always foul play. I mean, it sounds sketchy, but it might just be apparent the cause of death.
Yeah, they might just have, not been foul about it.
Yeah, I think overdose is also, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Yes, Chandler is still alive.
Yes, I am.
And yes, it is nice. It's very nice.
It's nice to be alive.
All right. Well, we'll put up the poll, and the poll, again, it's our like and subscribe poll. We got 150 of you here waiting for the last day of Dennis Fung, and only 73 of you hit that like button. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button because it is official. I mentioned it before. YouTube does these things where like you gain a lot of subscribers quickly, or you get to certain benchmarks, and then they throttle you back. It's officially doing that. Yes, they're up to their YouTube shenanigans. But I'm staying ahead of the curve this time. You remember back at 36,000 where we were stuck for 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. I kept, like I said, I gain 5, lose 10, gain 10, lose 15 every day. Just it would go up, then way back down, a little bit up, way back down. Today, since I hit 53,000, which has been almost a week now, it will go up to 53,908. Then it will go down to 53,898. It'll literally drop 10. And then the next day it'll go up to 08. Then it'll drop down to 98. It's been doing that every day for a week. And now we're ahead of the game because we're at 53,902. So we got a +4 on the day by my schedule. We only lost 6 today. But yeah, it just flops back and forth. So yeah, it's a YouTube thing. So make sure you, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you watch the numbers really closely, and I'm sure that there's some, I was going to swear. I'm sure that there's some weird stuff afoot.
It's just something YouTube does. You'll notice it.
I still have confidence that you'll make it up to 60 before you know it. And
it's I'm still riding the wave of getting well over 50. It's not about I mean, sure, I'd love more subscribers, but I think it's just interesting to watch what YouTube does. Like, never mind. I've entered another time of testing. They do that.
Well, it happens to me too. I mean, people have told me like, I just went to your channel and I wasn't subscribed to you, and that's so weird because I've been subscribed to you from the beginning. So I mean, it happens to everybody. It's very weird. So everybody check and make sure that you are indeed subscribed, that you do indeed have your membership if you've got a membership, and do all of that stuff, like hit the like button. That would be fabulous.
Yep. Everything, maybe people came up for the sub stuff and don't want OJ popping up on their timelines and unsub. Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of that, but there's also the growth. And it's just interesting how it's literally been the same numbers every day for the last week. It goes 308, 298, 308, 298, 308, every day for the week. It's just a thing YouTube does.
It's been a theme. I mean, it's happened before also. It's not.
It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It's just something YouTube does. And that's why all of the YouTubers and things will say, make sure you check to see if you're still subscribed, because we've had mods that have been unsubscribed 9 times.
Oh, wow.
Mods who are members. They're like paid members. They're mods and they've still been unsubscribed. But anyway, enough of that. That's a waste of time. Let's move. Let's move on from that. We'll set up the poll. Today's poll will be whether we want to go back to the beginning of the trial or whether we want to go back to the beginning of the defense. Those are going to be our big 2 options. And JA with the second super chat of the day. Morning LVCR. Hope you're all doing well. I am doing fantastic.
Same.
Awesome. That was succinct.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get on with this here. We're going to start the end of the Dennis Fung testimony. I'm reluctant to start because it's going to be the end. Oh, well. Even he looks sad that it's going to be the end of his ordeal.
You don't want it to be over.
I know.
I had this friend named Emma, and she was very sad. We had this whole summer together. We were roommates, and she, at the end of the summer, she cried. She was like 22 years old. She's like, I'm just so sad that the summer is coming to an end. That's what you remind me of right now.
Well, I'm virile, vigorous, and potent. Just give me 10 minutes, and we'll start over again with Fung. We'll start Fung over again. Just give me 10 minutes to rest. All right, here we go. Redirect. The redirect.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Or as we call it, the redirect.
Mr. Fung, do you remember being asked some questions on recross about a videotape that was taken at the time of the search warrant?
Yes.
And did you, in fact, have a chance to view that videotape?
Yes.
And you said that was when?
I viewed the videotape before I started my testimony here.
Okay, so that videotape couldn't possibly have affected your testimony here, could have it, since you'd already seen it?
Objection. Sustain.
Sir,
rephrase the question.
Okay, did you ever consider changing or altering your testimony in any way based upon seeing that videotape?
Hey, Elsie.
No.
All right. Now, as to stain
Let's
number
go, Brandon.
12,
Says Law Nerd Cliff is
the
here.
one that was
Time to act a
downstairs
fool.
in the foyer.
Hey, Locklear Nips.
Do you recall, sir,
God damn it.
whether you collected the downstairs items in the afternoon of the 13th
Hey, Law Nerd Clips.
prior to the upstairs
Better.
items?
We
God
began
damn it. See, that's what happens when I try
downstairs
so hard not to do
and
something and then it
walked
happens.
away upstairs.
So that in that case, 12 would have been collected before 13.
Yes.
And what time was
damn it.
12
This
collected
is nip
approximately,
slip.
according to the crime scene identification checklist?
I hate
According
myself
to
right
the
now.
checklist, it was collected
Why? Because you said nips?
at 4:30.
You're fine.
All right. And do you recall my asking you on recross whether you were sure about whether 13 was collected before 14?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure?
Muted.
And see, now Jim is going to accuse me of doing that on purpose.
On purpose?
And it wasn't. That was just me so desperately trying not to do something to get clipped that I just walked right into that. All righty, let's move on. Howdy, Kurt. 8 days on the stand, 8.5 days on the stand. He was on the stand, and we'll talk about what happened after he got off the stand here.
I think,
when
Kurt,
he gets
are
on
you
the stand.
new? Kurt seems new to
Not
OJ.
100% sure, no.
Which one do you think was collected
Morning,
first?
Kurt.
I think the socks in item 13 were collected first.
Before 14,
Yes.
but you can't be 100% sure.
I'm not 100% sure.
When was 14, the item in the bathroom?
Oh my God,
Master
he's not
bathroom
sure whether
collected
he
that
collected item
That
13
stain was
after 12 and
collected
before
around
14.
440.
So you're saying, I believe that the socks were collected
good.
after 4:30. Well, between 4:30 and 4:40 approximately.
In that general time frame, yes.
And as far as you are concerned, Mr. Fung, does it make the slightest bit of difference that you can figure out when they were collected within that general time frame?
No, that was not
No.
perfection, Law Nerd
Doesn't
Clips.
make
That
any
was the opposite
sense
of
to me.
perfection.
Would it make the slightest
the
bit of
exact
difference
opposite of
that you've been
perfection.
able to
I
figure
liked
out
it.
whether the socks have been collected at 4:38, 4:39, or slightly after 4:40?
No, this guy did not just get out of bed. This guy has been pummeled by one of the greatest legal minds in legal history, Barry Scheck, for 8.5 days. This is the sign of a beaten, broken, failed human being. This is a man who wants nothing more than to have people stop talking at him.
I mean, he basically lives there now. This is the trial of Dennis Fung. Dennis Fung is the one who is being interrogated and persecuted.
Yeah.
No.
Now, when you viewed the videotape that we were discussing, was there in fact a shot that depicted a portion of the patterned, I guess you would call it a throw rug, in the defendant's master bedroom?
Yes.
And did you view that and compare it to still photography?
Yes.
Sir, was the area that the socks were collected from depicted in that scene?
The area where the socks were located was blocked by the bed in the video camera shot.
Was the throw rug a pattern type rug?
Yes, it was.
And did you look at the patterns on it when you did this comparison?
Yes.
Now, sir, you were asked some questions about whether you made any inquiries of people at the scene regarding any alterations of the scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you supposed to make any inquiries of anyone in terms of alterations?
Yes.
Who's that?
The, excuse me, the detective.
There
at the
is no
scene
excuse for you.
is who I make inquiries of.
The investigating officer?
Yes.
Do you consider that to be a witness interview?
No.
Real quickly, thank you, MG Law, for that. I forgot to make the announcement at the beginning. There is no YNW Melly trial today because after the morning session, the giant Ludo RoboCop robot lawyer chick got sick. So they took the afternoon off and they are letting her recover today. And there's never a trial on Friday. They will resign. They resign. I wish they'd be resigned. That would be awesome. The prosecution anyway. The prosecution will wrap up their case probably Monday of next week. Then it'll be the defense, but that doesn't matter because if they wrap up the entire trial next week, that's going to be awesome. But if not, it's shabusiness time. Regardless of what is happening on Earth, World War III could break out, and we're still covering shabusiness, assuming shabusiness is in court. So whatever's happens, mark 24th on your calendar because that's when the fun begins.
Oh, I'm excited
right there.
for that.
24th morning opening statements. Taylor Shabusiness. Be there or be square. All right, continue.
Are you generally aware that police officers and detectives do witness interviews and sometimes fill out witness interview forms in LAPD?
Ground. Beyond the scope.
Grounds.
Yes.
And in your entire career as a criminalist, can you ever recall an occasion where you did that?
I've never done that.
where you've conducted a what you would consider a witness interview.
That's correct.
So are you saying
have
you've
made
never
inquiries
done
of
your job?
detectives?
Yes.
Or you're not supposed to do that? Just because he's never done it doesn't mean he wasn't
you were
supposed
asking
to do it.
questions regarding the scoop method that you demonstrated on item number 10. Why did you use the scoop method on the witness stand for the purposes of repackaging it?
The question came up whether it could be used or not, and I used it.
He probably
Now,
likes to spoon more than scoop.
Sir,
I mean, they
when you
wanted a
looked at the
waffle cone and some
seals on
sprinkles.
that item on the witness stand when Mr. Scheck showed it to you this afternoon, or this morning rather, was there a red and yellow seal? Was there a yellow seal on it?
There were yellow seals on it.
And is there a significance in LAPD to a yellow seal as opposed to a red seal?
Yes.
What is that?
A red seal is used by the person booking the evidence, and the yellow seal is used
It's
by
one that's been clubbed already.
the analyst who performs some type of examination on the evidence.
So the yellow seal indicates that it was in fact examined.
Yes.
And did you notice anything on the envelope or on the item itself which indicated that?
Yes.
What?
There were several initials on different portions of the plastic bag.
Okay, now, sir, I want to ask you about the condition of that item when you first opened it up on the witness stand and saw it. And distinguishing between the word crumpled, as in an item that's folded in on itself and kind of bunched together, and wrinkled, meaning an item that may be folded but has creases that are apparent in it. Was this,
I think calls for speculation, maybe.
Well, this is not a big deal. I'll allow the question. The jurors have seen the item. They saw
Right.
how it came
They
out.
can decide if
saw
it was
how
crumpled
went
or
back
folded.
in. They saw how it came out. They saw how
crumpled
it
or
went back
wrinkled.
in.
Yeah. Was it crumpled
And
or
they've seen the
wrinkled?
photograph of it at the crime scene.
okay. When you brought it out for the first time on the witness stand,
He
was
just
it
whipped it out on
crumpled?
the witness stand.
No,
Was it wrinkled, as I've just used that term or defined it?
there were wrinkles in it.
Okay, but was it folded?
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing disgrace. Let's just agree to crinkled. Nice.
Your Honor, I'd like to read a portion from the from the trial transcript at page 22,971. A portion of which was just read in and recrossed.
All right, give Mr. Schick.
I really don't love that high neckline on Marcia. It makes her look like Chairman Mao. You're muted. You know.
That's 22,971.
I'm doing microphone surgery. Nobody
starting at
wants to
line
hear that.
19 to 22,972, ending on line 25. Sir, at the trial, do you recall giving the following answers to the following questions? Question, Mr.
There, I'm
Fung,
back.
do you have an independent recollection as you sit here today of placing the item that you received from Detective Van Adder, the envelope, into the plastic bag? Answer, not an independent recollection, no. Question, okay. And when you looked at the scene of Andrea Mazzola taking the plastic bag out of the location, was there anything that you collected between 5 o'clock and when you left with Andrea Mazzola that could have accounted for the heft in that bag other than the envelope? Answer, possibly, but it's most likely that the envelope was in that bag.
Tell us about the heft in your sack.
Question, okay. Question, did you collect anything
said
between
saucily.
5 o'clock and the
Somebody
time that
chasing
Ms.
that sack?
Mazzola and yourself left with the
Wait, we're on
plastic
trial.
bag that was the same approximate size and dimension of the analyzed envelope?
Huh.
163. Answer, was there anything? Question, the one in front of you. Answer, was there anything else that we collected that was this
Great book.
size? Question, yes. Answer, is that what you are asking? Question, yes. Answer, no. Question, did you have any other envelopes that were that size? Answer, no. Do you recall giving those answers to that question?
Yes.
Now, as to the
Yes.
yes. Now, sir, you were asked a number of questions about
Asked
whether
the
you've
what?
ever received any pressure from anyone from the DA's office to change.
I don't know, but it sounds
your
like he's being
testimony in any
chloroformed
way.
right
Have
now.
you?
Yeah, kind of.
Change my answers?
Yes.
No.
They both
And
do.
from anyone else, the crime lab or even disinterested parties?
No.
Now,
Daily
sir,
quick
did
bites.
you ever even consider
We've done all of those.
possibility
We've done Furman already.
of
Furman was
testifying that
immediately
to the rear
before we
gate
started
stain
Fung. Go back into the stacks and stacks
you
of
saw
Wicked
it on
Wax
June the
and check it
13th?
out.
Yeah, I miss Furman, unfortunately.
We just might do it
I
again.
think this is,
Could be fun.
my apologies. Let me hear the whole question.
that was the whole question?
I'd never considered changing
Oh, I'm not
my
delicate.
answer that I
That's Chandler's option.
ever seen the stain on June 13th.
In front of me, like.
And you were
what?
asked about
Yeah.
mistakes,
I'm like
sir,
some
and
delicate
your
flower.
willingness to own up to mistakes. If you could do something differently at the crime scene, would you like to have collected that stain on the 13th?
Yes.
Misstates the testimony whose testimony assumes a fact beyond this witness's knowledge.
Rephrase the question.
Okay. Would have you liked to have inspected the gate more carefully?
Yes.
And sir, did you ever consider?
Should you have... Oh, come on. That's one of the big items of contention.
Inspected
Listen-
the gate more carefully? What?
Yeah, listen to that shiz again.
Misstates the testimony whose testimony assumes a fact beyond this witness's knowledge.
Listen to that
Rephrase the
again.
question. Okay. Would have you liked to have inspected the gate more carefully?
Would have you liked to have inspected the gate more carefully? That back gate, they took pictures of it at the time they were conducting the murder investigation. They went back 2 weeks later to look at it again, and they found a blood spot on that gate in the middle of the other pictures they had taken. Pictures without it, and then suddenly there's a picture with a blood spot on it that wasn't there 2 weeks before. So and this was after they had all of the blood evidence collected, the blood evidence that didn't quite make it to the evidence room, that was stored improperly, that may have spent the night at one of the investigators' houses. After all of that, after there was a mysterious speck of blood found on socks. This is after they had no records of who collected that blood sample, what order it was collected in, none of this. And then suddenly they go back to the crime scene and they find a mysterious blood speck. And now he's saying, "Oh, I wish I would have inspected a little bit more closely."
Yeah, right. So the jury's supposed to just listen to this and
Yeah.
go, "Oh, well, he just wasn't very good at his job and he made a mistake." And the
Yeah.
fact that he wanted to do a better job means that none of that is important or relevant. I mean, you got blood showing up where it wasn't before. So what are you
2
supposed to
weeks
do
later.
with that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, that's absurd. Oh my God. Goldberg, seriously? Ugh, I can't.
See, again, this goes back to one of my theories of this entire case, which is not limited to this case. It's a theory of far too many prosecutors in general. They know they've got their guy. They know they've got OJ. They know they've got enough evidence to convict him, but they know he's also got money and he can hire lawyers. So they want to be just extra careful, extra sure that they've got him. So they may go and put a little drop or two of blood here and there. I think they just got caught.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, before I watched this, I wasn't sure because I was very confident in his guilt, even though it wasn't proven in this trial, obviously. But the more I watched, the more I became aware. I mean, it's LAPD. They're dirty. I'm not surprised.
Well, and especially when you look at it in the big picture of Mark Furman's testimony, where he was with other detectives at the top of the driveway. He wasn't told to go down by OJ Simpson's Bronco. Nobody told him to do it. Nobody requested that he do it. He didn't ask permission to do it. He just went down there, wandered off by himself. And on the side that was away from the other detectives where they couldn't see him, he mysteriously finds blood on the Bronco. Then while they're interviewing other people around the house and whatnot, nobody told him to go back behind the bungalow between the wall and this little fence line. Nobody told him to go back there. Nobody instructed him to go back there. He didn't tell anybody he was going back there. He didn't announce he was going back there. He just walked back there on, just for shits and giggles, and he mysteriously found a bloody glove.
Yeah, right.
He finds all of the important evidence when he's alone and nobody's asked him to go anywhere or do anything.
How lucky is that? But there's a murder, and you find one bloody glove at the suspect's house and the other bloody glove at the scene of the crime. I mean, when does that happen? Yeah. It's so lucky.
It's happened once lucky. That I'm aware of.
Yeah. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, you can't be buying this.
Yeah. Well, anywho.
Ugh, ridiculous.
Yes. And
yes,
sir,
yes, I wish I would have done my job.
Did you ever consider changing your testimony or testifying that as you sat there on this witness stand that you had an independent recollection about putting the item that you received from Detective Van Adder into the bag, the plastic bag?
I don't understand your question.
Did you ever consider testifying, sir, that you could remember from your own independent recollection, putting the analyzed evidence envelope containing the blood into the plastic bag?
No.
Did you ever consider, sir, testifying that you looked at the socks, item number 13, carefully enough and saw blood on them?
Yeah, we don't get closed captions on court TV.
And did you ever consider testifying, sir, that you looked at the Bronco on June the 13th and saw red stains other than the one on the handle?
No.
Sir, when you were being cross-examined by Mr. Scheck, did you ever have difficulty understanding what he was getting at in his questions?
Sometimes.
And when you were being cross-examined, sir, did you, how did it make you feel when you were sort of being yelled at in an accusatory?
I would object and
Sustain.
to strike.
Sustain. And if
Is
we
this a
have any more
therapy
reactions
session?
from the audience, I'm going to clear the audience.
What kind of question is that? How did you feel when you were being yelled at?
Was there
Seriously?
anything in the way that you were questioned, sir, that made it more difficult for you to understand the questions?
Yes.
And what was that?
It was a aggressive questioning style.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Did you find it easier to answer his questions this morning?
Poor
Yes.
Fung.
Why?
He was much less aggressive this morning.
What the feeling? Look at Barry.
Wow.
That was Barry's. Oh, bitch! Please look. That was his.
Barry Scheck was mean to me, and you should all feel sorry for me. I mean, come on. What? What is this about?
He aggressively cross-examined me this morning.
Wow. Oh, don't you feel so sorry for him? I feel so sad for him. I mean, I do feel bad for him. He's been on the stand for so long. It's ridiculous. But, like, come on. I mean, questions needed to be asked. Oh, show us on the doll where the defense hurt you. Oh.
So, but look at this expression. Look at this just disdain on Barry Scheck's face.
Yeah.
This, oh, bitch, please, you whiny motherfucker.
Questions this morning?
Yes.
Why?
He was much less aggressive this morning.
He's not amused. Oh, he loved to laugh.
Oh, you were wrong, Jeff. He is very amused. He's laughing.
Being accused of engaging in a cover-up lesson.
He thought that was so funny, he started talking to the prosecutor.
Oh my god. The fact he was talking to Chris Darden. Oh my god.
And even Chris Darden is laughing.
I mean, it's a little funny. Chris Darden's got to be like, Goldberg, what are you doing, man? Come on. Like, move on.
I like that.
Wow. That was a cute little moment. That was really cute. I like that.
Oh, that is so sad.
bonding
That is
over the
so-
ineptitude of the other prosecutor asking questions. That's just wow.
I mean, when you're on the stand and the opponent lawyer starts laughing and engaging in witty banter with the prosecutor, and the prosecutor starts laughing, you're not doing good. Meanwhile, Donald Sutherland there in the background is just observing.
Did he hurt your little?
Sorry, Peter Neufeld, I couldn't resist.
Well, I'm not
Just had
totally
to
sure
do
what that had to do with the moment, but it was hilarious.
It's Peter Neufeld and Donald Sutherland. It looks like him.
Oh, they do look a lot alike. You're right.
Yes, they do. That's my son.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm so amused.
Do you consider being accused of engaging in a cover-up less aggressive?
He's still trying not to laugh. Now he's telling Marcia under his breath.
Manner, not the content.
Okay.
Oh, it's the manner of his speech, not the content.
Now, sir, do you remember?
Are you going to tell Chris Darden you have a dream that one day people will be judged by the manner of their content and not by... Anyway, you know what I
The
mean.
way that Marshall looked at him just now, she was just like,
conversation
are you serious
that
with
you
this
had
line of questioning?
with the detectives on June the 13th of 1994?
No.
Or with other people?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you remember all of the testimony that you gave over the last 8 days during the direct cross examinations?
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur.
Well, do you remember the question when you were shown the picture of the rear gate and Mr. Scheck said, "Where is it, Mr. Fung?"
I remember that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, Darden found that amusing. Where is it, Mr. Fung? Oh, the whiny bitch. What is he doing? What is Goldberg doing? Hank.
It reminds me of that Elaine moment during the Depp trial where she imitates Johnny and she's just like, "You will not see my eyes again." It's like, what's with the voices? Like, can we be serious here? I mean, and also to highlight that question is so irresponsible because it really points out to the jury, we didn't know where the blood spot was, and we're going to keep talking about that, and the jury's going to keep wondering, well, where was the blood spot? Like, that's actually a good question. No, I don't understand. I mean, this guy, I mean, it's... I can't.
Where is it, Mr. Fung? Darden was amused. Barry, not so much. Barry, not so much at all.
When you were shown the picture of the rear gate and Mr. Scheck said, "Where is it, Mr. Fung?"
I remember that.
I was just curious. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fung. Nothing further. Thank you.
And he didn't even want the answer to that. He didn't even want the answer to that. He just wanted to do that stupid impression. What a dick. That was childish and stupid.
So he used a whole question on this redirect to mock defense counsel.
Pretty much. On like the last thing you'd want to mock him on.
Yeah, that's gonna look really good, and to highlight an issue that the jury still has a question about.
Yeah. Where is that bit of blood you found 2 weeks later that wasn't there when you first went there and took all those pictures of it, Mr. Fung? No, I'm an idiot.
And why did it have chemicals in it that don't belong in a human body?
Yes, that which is correct. There is anticoagulants.
You can't just use shitty 90s technology and flash as, a way of excusing away the fact that it was not there previously. This is a big deal.
It is.
Just a few questions, sir. Mr.
Recross. We are now on recross.
It's easier to testify on direct examination than cross-examination.
Yes, it is.
And you've been a witness a number of times in different cases.
Yes.
And it's always more difficult to testify on cross-examination than direct examination.
Yes.
And
you're a bitch, aren't
you? Do
you?
not agree, sir, that some of the difficulties you had answering the questions on cross-examination during this trial had to do with the facts.
Ooh.
No, it was because you were mean to me.
Ooh.
I don't sustain.
Had to do with reports that you wrote.
Oh my God, that was a brutal question.
Yep.
All of the problems you had dealt with the facts of the case and the reports you wrote.
You put yourself here.
Holy
8 days.
shit, that was brutal.
That was killer. That was great.
I don't remember that question.
Check, it's
Damn.
awesome. Want to watch it again?
Wow, yeah, well, we're going to. Wow. All of the problems you had were with the facts of this case and the reports you wrote. Ouch.
Wait, he wrote reports? I thought the
trial
problem was he didn't
had to
write
do with
reports.
The facts.
And I got to go back a little bit more, sorry.
Answering the questions on cross-examination during this trial had to do with the facts.
I don't sustain.
Had to do with reports that you wrote.
In what regard?
What do you mean in what regard?
Contradictions in the testimony between your testimony and reports you wrote.
I was prepared for the type of questions that Mr. Goldberg would ask, and the questions that you asked were surprise questions to me. So
Surprise questions?
I was prepared for the questions he prepared me for, but not your surprise questions. You're smarter than the prosecutor, so I wasn't ready.
I'm trying to understand. He's saying what? The questions didn't match what was asked at the deposition, or what is that?
No,
mean?
he's just saying he wasn't prepared to answer those questions that Barry Scheck asked. He hadn't been prepared, so there was a surprise that he was being asked these difficult questions about the facts of the matter and the reports of his cases.
So defense did their job?
So to which the follow-up question would be, well, gee, if it's just about the actual facts of what happened, why would you have a problem answering it regardless of whether or not it's a surprise?
Right, exactly. Like if you were so surprised by it, if you were telling the truth, then you wouldn't have any reason to have difficulty with those questions. Correct?
of course they would be more difficult for me to answer.
Yes, and when you viewed some of the videotape, that surprised you too.
I was, yes, some of it did.
And when you were testifying about a number of events for which you didn't have an independent recollection, but you were going along with suggestions of testimony on direct, that was a problem too.
Sustain.
Did you ever have a problem when you were testifying because you were testifying to facts that you really didn't have an independent recollection about?
Oof.
I tried the best I could to be truthful in my answers and honest.
Now, Mr. Goldberg asked you about pressure from the district attorney's office,
Yes,
and your position is you never felt any pressure from them to testify in a certain way.
they never gave me any pressure to change my answers.
Well, did they make strong suggestions to you about what your answers should be?
No.
Have you ever spent 10 sessions, some of them as long as 5 hours, reviewing your testimony before you testify?
Never.
And could it be, sir, that in those sessions, as you reviewed all these facts and tried to get your testimony in a way that would please the prosecutors?
I haven't heard the full question, but it sounds like it's going to be called
All right.
speculation.
In these 10 sessions, you made your best efforts to work out testimony that the prosecutors would find satisfactory?
Much of the testimony was my educating Mr. Goldberg as to our procedures and different type of circumstances that we undergo out at crime scenes.
Well, the procedures you didn't
in
follow?
the course of your preparation, were other people from the lab involved?
At certain portions, yes.
Michelle Kessler?
She was never present when I was speaking with Mr. Goldberg.
To your knowledge, did she have input with respect to your testimony as far as you knew?
Sustained.
She ever discussed your testimony with you before you came here?
Oh, she gave me pep talks and things like that, but we never discussed specifics.
Mm-hmm. What about Detective Lang?
I did have discussions with him.
All right. Detective Van Adder?
Yes.
Now, I noticed that Mr. Goldberg didn't ask you whether or not you felt any pressure from the detectives.
Sustained.
Well,
Rephrase the question.
did you feel any pressure from the detectives to testify in a certain way?
No pressure, no.
Was there anything about my accent that made it hard for you to answer my questions?
Not your accent, no.
Okay. Was there anything about the substance of the questions that you were being asked that made it difficult, sir?
Vague. Sustained.
Now, you said that on this redirect, that it didn't make the slightest bit of difference as to whether or not you collected the socks between 4:30 and 4:40.
Not in my mind.
Well, then, why, pray tell, did you change your testimony from direct and cross about when you could have collected the socks?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Why, sir, did you change your testimony from what you'd stated on direct and cross-examination about the time frame when you could have collected the socks?
Overruled.
I believe that in one question, one of the questions was I sure I had collected the evidence from one point or another, and I wasn't 100% sure which item I had collected prior to the other.
Well, on direct and cross, you indicated that you were sure.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Well, you answered questions about the order of collection and when you collected on direct and cross.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And on redirect, Mr. Goldberg asked you a number of times, or twice, I should say, if you were really sure that the collection of socks happened within that period.
Overruled.
See, this is the problem. He established from day one on the stand that he didn't take really good notes of who collected what, when things were collected, who did the processing. He didn't do any of that. So now he's setting himself up for all these. Are you really sure you collected this piece of evidence in the order you think you collected it in? He just set himself up for all of these questions. We have royalty in the house, people. It is Nate the lawyer. Welcome, Nate. Barry Scheck destroyed Fung, and notice how he runs through objections. He asked the next question immediately. I met him, very nice guy. Absolutely, and that's one thing this is the end of Fung's testimony. We only got 26 weeks of of Dennis Fung out of this. Yeah, this is the end. This is the last few minutes. This is recross. And that's one thing we've been commenting on from the beginning, is how Barry Scheck does not even really care about what the answer is, because he's got no matter how that question is answered, he already has the next question for possibility A, possibility B, and possibility C locked and loaded, and just rolls through it.
Oh, he's brilliant. The way he pivots, I mean, he is just ready. He is the opposite of Elaine, what's-her-face, in the Heard trial. He handles questioning very, very, very well.
Thank you so much for that, Nate. Nate the lawyer. But go over to, I'm sure that everybody that's watching this is subscribed to Nate the lawyer. But if you're not, you definitely need to get over and subscribe to Nate the lawyer. He's the OG here. He's the OG law tuber.
Awesome to see Nate.
Do not miss him.
Not at all. No. Good morning, Nate. So happy for the super chat.
Thank you so much. Let's watch the end of the fungening.
He was referring to specific times within that time frame.
Well, did you, before you came here for redirect examination, say to Mr. Goldberg, I've been thinking about it, and I may be wrong about how the time the socks were collected. Could you please raise that again on redirect? Is that what happened?
No.
It was his idea.
Sustained.
It was his request of you to think about the time of collection again.
Sustained.
Before you came and testified on redirect, did you have discussions with Mr. Goldberg or other prosecutors about whether you were really sure concerning the time you collected the socks?
It's just vague as to whether he means he has to bracket it. He doesn't have the first time.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
Well, you can try to answer the question.
We have discussed the time frame of the socks, but as to the second time he asked me in recross about the socks, I don't recall discussing it prior to him asking recross socks questions.
Mr. Fung, redirect. Remember that?
Redirect.
Sustained.
Can you remember anything that's happened to you in the last 9 days?
Redirect examination.
Yes.
On redirect examination, you now said that you weren't really sure.
Yes.
And the suggestion, withdrawn, the issue of whether you were really sure was raised by the prosecutors.
Well, it's vague in court or out of court.
Overruled. We're talking about redirect.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was prior to those questions being asked of you.
Well, now it's vague.
That's true.
All right? That was prior to the time that you testified on redirect.
Yes.
Okay. And after they asked you if you were really sure, you told them before you got on the stand, well, I'm not that sure.
I wasn't that sure. No.
What?
Overruled.
And you became unsure because you thought that's what they wanted to hear.
No,
Yes.
I became unsure because he was asking for a specific time within that time frame, and I just wasn't sure.
Mr. Fung, on direct examination, you were asked about the time frame between 4:30 and 4:40. You collected the socks.
It was literally asked about a 10-minute
The
window.
question on redirect was, could you have corrected the socks sometime different than between 4:30 and 4:40, right?
On redirect.
Yes.
Dude, he is so confused.
Yes, he asked that.
And that's what you that's what you testified you were no longer sure about.
Yes.
And you now began testifying on redirect that you were no longer so sure of the order.
Yes.
And that's because the prosecutors wanted you.
He reads with
to
his
be unsure
mouth moves
about
when he
the
reads. His
time
lips
and
move
about
when he
the
reads.
order.
You can tell.
That's not true.
No further questions.
No further questions.
Okay, let's see if we can get this, Mr. Fung.
Redirect. There's so much
Look at his face. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's just been completely obliterated by this entire experience, dude. Oh. You know,
This is a man who just wants to cry.
This entire time that I watched him, I vacillated between feeling sorry for him and being really satisfied with the way the defense counsel is questioning him. I mean, the way that they just obliterate him because he didn't do his freaking job and he made so many mistakes and it is very obvious that he is incompetent. He's terrible on the stand and just looking at, oh my god, I do feel a little sorry for him in this moment. I can't help it.
And Nate, the lawyer, said that he's met Barry Scheck. See, that's my next goal in life, is to get Barry Scheck here on the stream. That's my goal. We've been dealing with this forever now. That's my goal, to somehow get an interview with him. I'm going to try my damnedest, and I'm not going to give up.
That would be amazing, Jeff.
That's my goal in life. So
I think you can make it happen. I believe
now
in
that
you.
Nate's like his best bud, Nate can hook me up.
Yeah, totally. I love it.
That's my goal. I'm gonna try to get Barry Scheck.
Yeah, Nate, hook Jeff up. That'd be awesome.
There's literally no reason in the universe why he would agree to it, but I'm gonna try. Because if I don't try, there's a guaranteed 0 chance he'll get on here.
That's true. Well, he might have a day off. You never know.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to the redirect.
Now, when we were discussing, before you ever came into this courtroom to testify, about the order in which things were collected, did you tell me that the order was 12, 13, and 14? Yes, okay. Now on redirect.
Redirect, okay.
No, actually it was redirect, I'm sorry. Okay, now on redirect, did you testify that you weren't sure whether 13 was collected before 14?
I stated I didn't know, or I don't know what I stated at this point.
And he's probably not lying. He probably has no idea what he's testified to the last 8.5 days. And I think it's fascinating that he still cannot answer the question whether item number 13 was collected between item number 12 and item number 14 or not.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's how bad of notes and records and documentation this guy had. He couldn't tell you what time any of the evidence was collected or whether it was collected in order 12, 13, 14.
It's starting to feel a little convenient that he's so bad at keeping records. I mean, I'm curious. Like, I want to kind of ask him, are you in the habit of just not writing up reports in a contemporary manner? Like, I wonder about it a little bit, Like whether he did that intentionally.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, just, hey.
Fung is mentally, emotionally, and spiritually drained. Good job, lawyers.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, you get a scan of Fung's brain after this whole ordeal, and, you compare it to that of a waterboarding victim. You probably have some similarities.
Well, Angst Kitten says, I bet his habits changed after this case. The habits of law enforcement officers across the entire United States changed after this.
True.
This testimony that we've watched for the last 6 months here, once a week, led to sweeping changes in evidence collection, processing, and storing and record-keeping techniques. So, hey, he was good for something.
I like Nicholas's comment.
I was unsure at that point.
Okay, now what Mr. Scheck was asking you is, was there a conversation that we ever had between the time that you were finished on cross-examination okay?
Yes.
And the time that you said that you weren't sure on redirect, was there ever a time when you told me you weren't sure?
No.
And was there ever a time that you can recall between those two times that we discussed the issue?
Not that I recall.
All right. And Mr. Fung, have you ever testified before in a case where you were on the witness stand for 8 days?
Never.
Are you gonna be glad to be off?
Very.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Wait, what was it? What was he asked?
Something stupid.
No.
Very. Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait.
And was there ever a time that you can recall between those two times that we discussed the issue?
Not that I recall.
All right. And Mr. Fung, have you ever testified before in a case where you were on the witness stand for 8 days?
Never.
Are you gonna be glad to be off?
Yeah, I can be glad to be off.
Oh, yeah.
And okay, he's just getting ready to walk off the stand now. Listen to this audible sigh.
Very. Okay, thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Fung, I'm going to excuse you from further testimony in this case at this time. You're still subject to recall, however. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody other than the lawyers. All right, you're free to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to need to shift gears here
Now.
momentarily. I'm going to ask you to step back into the jury room. Please remember all my admonitions to you, and we'll be talking with you shortly.
Now, here is the problem. Here's what the cameras did not catch. What happened is he stood by his lawyers, and then he shook hands with his lawyers, talked to them for a second. Then he walked over to the defense table, and he shook hands with Johnny Cochran, then with Ben Shapiro, with Robert Shapiro. He shook hands with Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, then like the entire defense table, including OJ Simpson, which freaked the sheriff's deputies out because there was like a no touching OJ rule because he'd been charged with murder and whatnot. But he was so discombobulated and out of it that he walked over and shook hands with, put an arm around the defense team. They didn't capture it on video, but there were still photographers in the courtroom. And this is him hugging the defense team.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't seen this yet. And all this time, I mean, wow. That's something.
This is this is Dennis Fung here, hugging the defense team. Robert Shapiro's got his arm around his neck. He's shaking hands with Cochran. He shook hands with Johnny.
Yeah, he's really snuggled up there.
Yeah, he didn't like, it wasn't a full-on body hug. It was like this, like Shapiro's doing. It was like an arm on the shoulder thing.
It's awfully close to them, though. He's really like in the fold. It's very weird.
When they asked him why he did it, he said it was out of relief for finally being off the stand. He said, I was so happy to get off the stand. I was high. he was so...
That's what he said?
That's a quote. I was so happy to get off the stand. I was high.
Okay.
He was just stunned. He was dazed. He was beaten down. This is like, walking out of a concentration camp somewhere and thanking your captors for...
Yeah, this is Stockholm syndrome, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, thank you for for letting me out. You guys are awesome. That was like, what? And it made news everywhere.
It's incredible.
And there's a Chicago Tribune article that I can't seem to bring up on the stupid browser here for a minute, but the article, bear this in mind when you're looking at this picture. It says, as his 9 grueling days of testimony drew to an end, Tuesday, criminalist Dennis Fung flashed a rare smile after having gone longer than anyone else on the witness stand so far in the OJ Simpson double murder trial. Then he vigorously shook hands with the former football star in clear view of the jurors, electrifying the courtroom. This is from the Chicago Tribune. Warmly smiling, Simpson firmly gripped Fung's hand in a gesture that reminded observers of two combatants congratulating each other after a furious match. That's the way you shake hands with someone after you've played the toughest game in your life and now it's over, said author Joe Bosco, who is writing a book about the trial. With the often sarcastic, never relenting Barry Scheck as its man in the ring, the defense team had just spent more than a week pummeling the soft-spoken Fung with allegations that he helped police frame Simpson for the murders of his former wife and her friend last June. After a last round of questioning and re-questioning, Fung gave a visible sigh of relief as he stepped down from the stand and perfunctorily shook hands with the prosecutors. He strode over, offering his hand, looking surprised. He shook hands with Johnny Cochran, and then Simpson and Fung clasped hands, and Robert Shapiro embraced the state's key witness. The surprising emotions of the moment apparently caught sheriff's deputies off guard since they had barred handshaking with Simpson. Outside the courtroom, Fung would not reveal his feelings about the defense team or the handshakes. Cochran, however, was not equally taciturn. It's never personal. It's not ever personal. It's never personal. We're just doing our job, Cochran said. I think he understood that. The defense handled Fung's testimony as a key block in building its theory that the police conspired to frame Simpson by planting a glove at his estate and sprinkling his blood in incriminating places. With DNA test results on blood evidence yet to be presented to the jury, defense lawyers focused on Fung's evidence collection methods, which they said were sloppy and compromised the evidence, contaminating the crime scene, and may have been part of the frame-up. Fung admits he stored blood samples on the floor of the warm evidence truck for 7 hours, left a vial of Simpson's blood unrefrigerated overnight, and failed to collect crucial stains from a gate at the crime scene until 3 weeks after the murders. Air quotes, mine. Making the most of Fung's admittedly hazy memory of his precise movements while collecting evidence, defense lawyers suggested that Detective Philip Van Adder kept a vial of Simpson's blood overnight in order to plant it at strategic locations. And you know what? There's not a goddamn bit of evidence to disprove that because Fung didn't keep records. There are no records to prove that the lead investigator did not store a vial of the defendant's blood at his home.
God. I mean, I knew about I thought it was shoes, but I didn't know about the vial of blood.
Yeah, shoes. They like the shoes and the vial of blood. Both
Jesus, I didn't know about that until now. Wow, that's...
In their rebuttal, prosecutors presented news footage marked with a timestamp, all but showing Van Adder giving Fung the blood vial June 13th, the day after the slayings when Fung said it was delivered. After testifying, Fung said he was happy to be off the witness stand and ready to return to work. He wished his colleague Andrea Mazzola good luck when she takes the stand Thursday. I hope she does good, Fung said, then exclaimed a simple Baba Booey when someone asked him his thoughts on being the butt of jokes on Howard Stern radio talk show, where Baba Booey frequently is uttered. There's a throwback.
Wow, this is it's dated to a very particular time. He said Baba Booey?
Yeah.
Wow, Fung. All right. I wasn't expecting that.
He's a hipster. Yeah.
Okay.
He's hip. He listened to Howard Stern when he was a shock jock and not some sort of weird shill like he is now. Baba Booey, said Fung.
Baba Booey indeed.
That's a throwback to the mid-90s, if there's anything ever to throw back to the mid-90s. Whatever happened to Baba Booey? Separately, a lawyer for author Mark Elliott, who is working with trial witness Brian Cato Kalin, said that the taped comments Kalin made to the author before he took the witness stand could hurt the defense. The interviews, all right, we don't need to worry about the rest of that article. So yeah, that is the end of Dennis Fung on the stand.
Amazing.
27 weeks he was up there on our time, 8.5 days real time. We milked this for 6 months.
We did it. I mean, I've only been here since February, but you know, still, it's been a journey. February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the end of Dennis Fung, people. I kind of feel empty inside already.
Do you?
I miss you, Dennis. Let's start over. Let's go back to the beginning of. Let's just do Dennis Fung in perpetuity here.
Oh,
It's
God.
all Fung all the time.
I mean, I would do it for Shaq, but Goldberg, that would be my own personal hell. It's just like, no, I can't.
Well, let's continue with today. So we've been going now for 11 hours. Wow. Ooh, I just looked up and it was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. We were.
Ooh, spooky.
Ooh, hey. That means good things are going to happen, I guess. I wish I was drunk. Bring in the super chat.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I wish I was drunk. I bet his brain looks like a half-chewed toffee. Well, it probably looked like a half-chewed toffee before. That's how he got in this position. But we forgot to acknowledge Nate the lawyer as today's Vice Racks.
Oh.
Well, Nate.
Congratulations, Nate.
Nate the lawyer. Not a lawyer, a lawyer. With the big USD $10. Boom. All right, setting him up for the Vice Racks. Boom. And scroll. There we go.
Beautiful.
I bet his brain looks like a half-chewed toffee. Now I'm hungry. And speaking of hungry, Grant Sanford asked a question a little while ago, about an hour ago. So talking about Taylor Shabusiness, is that the suitcase lady or the OnlyFans nut job? Neither. I'm sure it got worked out in chat, but she's neither. The suitcase lady is Sarah Boone, and the OnlyFans nut job is Courtney Clenny. This is Taylor Shabusiness.
Yeah, it's
Taylor
easy to mix up all the crazy women who have murdered their boyfriends.
There's a lot of crazy ladies out there.
Yep.
But Taylor, this is Taylor Shabusiness. Her trial starts on the 24th. And scarily enough, Sarah Boone, the suitcase lady, was also supposed to start on the 24th. So I was concerned because I was supposed to cover both trials. But Sarah Boone got delayed indefinitely. And they're going to have a status hearing on her on the 21st. So Friday the 21st, they'll have another status hearing on Sarah Boone. There's a chance they might schedule the next hearing date at that time. But I don't know. There's probably not. They'll probably hold one or two other status hearings before they set the next hearing date. But there's a possibility they could set the next hearing date on the 21st for her, which leaves the 24th wide open for Taylor Shabusiness. And for those of you that aren't in the know, Taylor Shabusiness, in a nutshell, we're going to next to Friday, we will go over some of this. We'll review some motions and some arresting documents to prepare you for the Taylor Shabusiness trial. The arresting documents, the complaint from the criminal complaint from the police, involved her essentially correcting the police where they were wrong in their investigation. They would say, so then this happened. And she'd be, no. This is how it went down. Her and her boyfriend got drunk. They decided to do a little naughty play. Out came the collar and dog chain. He decided he was going to wear it first. She choked him out. Then she decided to keep on choking him out. And then she decided to chop up his body and pleasure his corpse. And then pleasure herself with his corpse, and then chop him up into little bits and use his junk to pleasure herself further, all over the space of 3 hours. She enjoyed. She was a necromancer for for about 3 hours. Yeah, she was into that necrophilia apparently for a little bit. 3 hours worth of essaying his corpse. Then she left the house and went back home. The mother of the victim, this all happened in the basement. So she's a very quiet killer. She chopped up an entire body while mom and dad slept upstairs. Mom heard the door slam in the middle of the night and was wondering if her son had left the house. So she walked down the stairs to check to see if he was still there. she saw a bucket with a blanket over it at the bottom of the stairs and apparently went, oh, I don't remember leaving a bucket and a blanket at the bottom of the stairs. She removed the blanket and found her son's severed head in the bucket and his severed head in his bucket. And when asked about other body parts, there was a part of a leg found in her roommate's van. And other body parts, she said, good luck finding them all. I think they should be in the house. It was like a jigsaw puzzle. Jesus. And when the police didn't have a real big time, they didn't have a real big problem trying to figure out who was responsible. So they went to her house. She met the police at the door with a blood-soaked shirt on and whatnot. And they said, do you know why we're here? And she said, it probably has to do with the arrest warrant. And then she went and told them exactly what went down and where they were wrong in their understanding of the case. And just recently, so she's been charged with first-degree murder, mutilation of a corpse, and SAing a corpse. In that order.
Now, I have a question about that. I had read that there were delays. Now, tell me if this is correct. Because I believe her attorneys tried to argue that after the boyfriend was dead, because of the fact that he was no longer alive, they argued against the SA charges.
That's part of the motions hearing that was held a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, the motion, right? Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah, she's undergone the delays because she's undergone five mental examinations. Mm-hmm. Two to see if she's going to be undergoing 5. 2 to see if she's competent to stand trial.
Right.
And then 2 just to see if she's still competent to stand trial.
Right. And then there was that moment where she attacked her attorney in
well, I mean, that was fake.
Well, yes, but that got there was a delay because of that, correct?
Yeah, the main motion that Chandler's talking about was a couple of weeks ago. The defense tried to get the SA charges thrown out because in the defense lawyer's arguments, it could not have been SA because under the law, it must be SA of a person. And because he was dead, he no longer met the legal standard of personhood. And therefore, because the corpse that she did naughty things with was already dead, it wasn't a person. So therefore, she cannot be charged or convicted with SAing a person.
It's an interesting argument. So, wait, what did the judge say?
He said, denied. So, yeah. And the interesting thing is she's claiming whatever the Wisconsin version of insanity is, diminished capacity, I think is what they call it there. But they're not denying she did it. They're just saying she was out of her damn mind when she did it. So that's why the trial is only going to be 5 days. 4 days they're guessing 4 days for testimony and 1 day for a jury. So, yeah, there's not a lot to argue. Just was she nuts when it happened? Did she appreciate that what she was doing wrong first of all, they're in the middle of undergoing another mental evaluation to see if she's mentally fit to stand trial.
Oh, number 6. Wow. Okay.
No, this is number 5.
Oh. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was just ordered the other day. So she's undergoing this evaluation that she's fit to stand trial. The judge seems to think that, yes, she's going to be found fit because why not? She's already been found fit to stand trial like 4 times. And then they'll go into the trial. And at the trial, the state has to prove that that what she did was wrong and she knew it was wrong at the time she did it.
Now, is that typical to go through so many mental evaluations? Because I feel like that's abnormal. I don't understand why they keep ordering them. Are the other ones not sufficient? I mean, what is the reasoning behind that?
Well, the first one they did, the defense wanted a mental evaluation to see if she, and we'll talk more about this a week from Friday, but the defense, they wanted a mental examination to see if she was fit to stand trial. No problem with that. The judge said, cool, okay, do it. The answer came back, she's fit to stand trial. The defense said, we'd like a second opinion. And the judge said, well, if you want it, do it on your own dime. You can appoint your own expert and we'll listen to him.
Right.
So they did. They appointed their own expert, and even their own expert said, she's fit to stand trial.
Okay.
Then she pleaded this diminished capacity, which automatically triggers another mental evaluation. And then the fourth evaluation was the defense saying she's been in isolation. She's been in solitary confinement for a long time. Her brother, I think, died in July. Her mental health has gone down significantly since then. She is not competent to stand trial. Give her another examination. They came back and said, well, yes, she is. And that was November of last year. And now they're saying that happened so long ago that we need to reevaluate this. So the judge said, all right, this is it. But he still kept it. This judge wants this to go to trial on July 24th. He said, fine, you can do it, but we ain't changing the date. So yeah, that's why there were so many of these.
That feels excessive, but I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense a little bit.
She's got nothing to lose. So that's the Taylorship business trial starting on the 24th. Friday the 21st, we'll read the arresting documents, the criminal complaint, and we'll read that motion, the SA motion that Chandler was just talking about.
That'll
to gear us up for the trial.
Yeah.
And then 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th will be the Taylorship business trial.
Cool.
Do not miss it. All right, when we're not done with OJ yet, so stay here. That was just a lengthy midstream grift. And to wrap it up, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. We've got 287 concurrent viewers right now and 215 likes. Reach down there, slap that like button like it's Dennis Fung. And that was rather. And make sure you're subscribe, and then check to make sure you're subscribed. You're already subscribed. Head on over to Behandler Remington, Behandler Remy_legal. Subscribe to her channel as well. Then take our like and subscribe poll. Today, this will determine how we proceed with the trial. Like, subscribe, and vote. After Fung and Mazzola, we start at the beginning of the trial or start with the defense case. And it looks like the defense case is winning nearly 2-1. 38% said start at the beginning, and 62% of you said start with the defense case. I agree with the start with the defense case. So unless there's a major shift, that's what we're going to do. Because we are able to avoid a huge ton. But now I'm saying if any of you are super duper OJ trial aficionados, and you think there are some prosecution witnesses we absolutely must hear from, please email me. Just put OJ in the title at thelegalvices@gmail.com, thelegalvices@gmail.com, and we'll look into those witnesses and see if we need to do those. But with that out of the way, we have, hang on, Rose, let me bring this up here. Rose has been a member of the Cold and Sober crew for 10 months. It doesn't get longer than 10 months. You know how I know it doesn't get longer than 10 months? Because 10 months ago is when we started. Oh, that was, how did I copy and paste that thing from Fung? All right, whatever. Let's try it again. All right. Rose, RNC Inc. member for 6 months of member, 10 months of the Clean and Sober. How does that work? But anyway, 10 months of the Clean and Sober crew. Love being your second member. Once activated and proud to be here as a sub member and mod. Y'all smash the subscribe vices and whatever came after that. Like, I guess.
Makes sense.
Subscribe and tap the bell. All right, there we go. That was the rest of it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rose. You're awesome.
Love Rose. Rose is awesome.
We do. So, all right, that is out of the way, and we should continue.
Sounds great.
We're gonna. I think it's just. Oh no! Did I shut that window? Please tell me I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't. Good. I think it's just lawyer arguments for the rest of this deal, and then Andrea Mazzola takes the stand.
Should we skip over the arguments?
Nah, the lawyers are awesome.
I want to hear that. I mean, personally,
yeah.
I'm always interested in what happens when witnesses are when the jury's not in the room and when a witness is on the stand. That's when I learn the most.
King Bob, you've been a member for a year. I thought I only started like 10 months ago. I mean, I've had my channel for more than a year, but I think I started my memberships like 4 months into the run. No, Robert Lawrence, no Melly trial today. Giant robot chick lawyer, she got sick, so they had no afternoon session yesterday, nothing today, and there's never any trial on Friday, so Melly starts again on Monday. But tomorrow is the Legal Vices Fuck It Friday stream.
Woo.
And you do not want to miss that. So far, we have a pretty extensive lineup of guests. These are the confirmed and maybe list. Ozzy Overlord, Danny on Direct, Ian Runkle, Steph the Alter Nerd, Potentially Criminal Sean, Chandler Remington, Valhalla Awaits, Flux, Steve Gosney, Megan Fox, Meme Copium, Nina Infinity, Nicholas Starov, Ari Jacob, MLS Law Show, MG Law, Jessica Reloaded, and Waifu Kron.
Wow, that's a long list. That's impressive.
That's so far. Others, if the requests roll in and space is available, there will be more.
Well, I love it. You have all of my my favorite ladies, Waifu Kron and Jessica Reloaded and Flux are my crew, and I'm really excited to be on an Epic Friday stream with them where they're on the official lineup. So that's going to be fantastic.
And it will be Friday night, U.S. time, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 1 a.m. UK time. And I'm going to start pickling my liver at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday.
That's what you get for living in Korea.
Yeah, the whole idea of Fuck It Friday, the more super chats you throw at me, the more I drink and the more fun we have, or something like that. So that's the F It Friday. Do not miss that on Friday. It's going to be fun. It's always fun. Do not miss it.
No, that would be
all
tomorrow.
Right.
I will see you there.
Well, you better be there because you're on the list.
I'll be there. I'm always there. When have I ever missed an F It Friday stream? Name one time.
Cold.
See, you can't.
Cold and sober, like Shabusiness's victim. No, young Master Victim was not sober. He had a pretty vicious drug cocktail in his system at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, Waifu Kron, what's up, girl?
Hey, it's Jess. Everybody go subscribe to Waifu Kron. She's awesome. She's funny. She's based. And she's my girl.
And she's a naughty, naughty redhead.
Yes. Oh, and she kind of dominated your birthday stream when I was unable to, when I had really bad Wi-Fi on the train and I couldn't come on. That's the one time that I haven't been able to come on a big stream with you. Yes. All right. Moving forward.
Let's bring up the rest of today. Thank you, everybody. Again, hit that like, hit the subscribe, move it along. And here we go. That's the picture. We don't need the picture anymore. We don't need that thunging picture anymore.
Now we're going to move on to lawyer arguments and Mazzola.
Well, over the lunch hour, I received a package of reports regarding currently hair comparisons from the FBI lab. One counsel approached me each side, and I'll give you a copy of the reports.
This is rather short. It's like 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, 10 minutes.
All right, over the lunch hour, counsel proposed to the court a procedure to go forward with the inquiry that the court has indicated that is going to make regarding jury issues. Either side wish to be heard as to the presence of the defendant issue and the manner in which the inquiry should be conducted.
Yes, I'd like to hear just briefly, Your Honor. Certainly, we do endorse the going ahead with the jury process now, Your Honor, and doing it in a continuous manner. I think it'll be better for all parties, and I think in this regard, both the prosecution and the defense agree. The court had been kind enough in a brief conference to mention to counsel the People versus Siripongs case, Siripongs, a 1988 case. Although I have not had a chance to get the case, I do, in fact, had a chance, of course, to look at the California Criminal Law Procedure and Practice, second edition.
Which is where I found the Siripongs case.
Had suggested to us. And in that case, as the court is aware, there is a statement in the second paragraph under section 3324 that counsel and the defendant should be present at the hearing. And he goes on to indicate that in some circumstances, however, counsel may be excluded from the hearing as long as he or she is given a transcript of it. Cites People versus Fung. And under that paren, it says defense attorney excluded at defendant's request, no constitutional violation. In this instance, what we're asking the court to do, given where we are at this point in the proceedings, after having been in trial in this matter since, I guess, September 26th, and being the 12th week or so of actual testimony, that Mr. Simpson be allowed to be present during this jury inquiry. That's all we're really asking, Your Honor. We don't think it poses any kind of security problem. We don't think there would be any effect upon the jurors as the court inquires upon them. We do not anticipate, from the defense standpoint, of asking the court to cross-examine any particular juror. In fact, without going into the procedure that we've used in the past, I would just indicate to the court that we expect to do as we've done in the past. And I think that Mr. Simpson has no objection to that. And the court has previously ruled that as regards previous jurors or non-jurors at this point, the defendant has been present. And I just think that where he does not wish to waive his being present, that the court should allow him to be present. I think that if the Sirpon case, I guess, stands for anything, counsel can be excluded, but it doesn't say the defendant can be excluded. And I don't plan to waive my presence at this point either, Your Honor. Perhaps I think the court has set some rules regarding the number of attorneys, and we have no problem with that. I think the court has said that you may limit the number of attorneys who may be present during these proceedings. But I just think that we can get on with this and get it done in a timely and appropriate fashion. It's been conducted quite well before. I just think this is not a matter for a public hearing, but I think that the defendant, who has the most to lose in this entire thing, is entitled to a fair trial, and it certainly would impinge upon his constitutional rights to be present if we have to then go back and try to translate for him what took place at these hearings. And that's how I think we really got to this point, Your Honor. So I'd respectfully ask the court to set up a procedure that the court feels is appropriate, whereby he can be present during these hearings, and we'll conduct it in the same way as we've done the other hearings back in chambers. Thank you, Your Honor. All right.
People?
What's up, peeps? Marsha Clark for the peeps.
Yes, Your Honor, I read the case law submitted by the defense, People versus Garcia. The problem with that case law that they have submitted is that there is nothing in which it is stated explicitly that the defendant has an independent right to be present. The case really addresses the issue as to whether or not the court should properly address jury issues outside the presence of any of the lawyers or the defendant. And it says that no, the defense has the right to be represented and at such a hearing.
Hang on.
What happened?
Nothing.
Nor have
Move
any
along.
of the cases we have
Nothing to
found
see here.
indicated that there is any such right. And to the contrary, as the court has pointed out, People versus Siripongi, also People versus Medina, 51 Cal 3rd 870, and People versus Freeman, 8 Cal 4th 450, both of which do address the defendant's right to be present at various chambers conferences, make clear that the defendant does not always have the right to be present at every chamber.
Uh-oh, the handler has abandoned us. There she's back.
With respect to these issues, they are
Welcome
of
back.
such confidential nature that they do need to be conducted in
I don't know what
chambers.
happened.
That poses a very obvious problem with respect to having the defendant present. And there are also concerns with the ability of the jurors to be as forthright as they possibly can. The more we create an open hearing in which there will be many people present and the more people in the audience and the bigger the setting in terms of having to be in the courtroom, I think the more of a chilling effect we produce on the jurors, less encouraged they are to be completely candid with us about what is going on. So in order to encourage candor, in order to encourage the kind of openness that will allow the court to make a thorough and fair investigation, I think that it is in the best interest in a search for the truth and a fair trial to have this in chambers.
I would just, and I neglected to mention this before, I think also that Penal Code Section 1120 is somewhat instructive when it talks about where it requires a juror, quote, must be sworn as a witness and examined in the presence of the parties. And again, I always come back to the fact that Mr. Simpson is the party here. That statute was subsequently amended in 1965.
Seems pretty clear to me. He gets to be there.
We cited to the court the People versus Garcia case, the 1984 case, holding that a defendant's right to be present, protected by the fundamental constitutional right to the assistance of counsel at all critical stages of the proceeding. If one takes that, Your Honor, this is a critical stage of the proceeding because what the court finds out here is very important, I think, to all of us. And I think that's why the court is doing this now. I think in response to what Ms. Clark has said, that I don't think it's chilling at all with the defendant present. It doesn't make it, the court has a certain number of counsel on each side, and the defendant is not going to make the jurors less candid because Mr. Simpson is here. After all, this case is about the people versus OJ Simpson. And I'm reminded of the time when we first started picking the jury in this matter. The court recall we were up on the
I'm reminded of a time long, long ago when we were picking jurors for this trial. Just like it's like, I'm reminded of a time, like you're thinking back 200 or 300 years.
And we were in a little tiny room at the court recall when we first started screening jurors, and Mr. Simpson was at the table. In fact, Ms. Clark and I sat side by side, and Mr. Simpson was down at one end. The jurors sat at one end, and the court will recall that, and the bailiffs were all there. And I think the people were very candid right from the beginning. That's how this court has conducted this matter at times at critical stages of the proceeding where Mr. Simpson should be present. And that's all we're saying, that why err in this regard? I think that this is a time he has a right to be present. It poses no security problems. And I think that I'm not suggesting we put the jurors on the witness stand, but wherever they feel comfortable. We can close it in or however you want to do it, as we've done in the past. I think that this is somewhat unique. And what's happened is there is a dearth of legal opinions in this regard because you'll have to search far and wide before you'll find this kind of proceeding where we're this far into trial, where we have an issue like this arising regarding jurors, where we have to go and talk to all the jurors. So there's not a lot of cases. As we have proven so many times, Your Honor, it's this particular case that has caused a lot of issues that people haven't dealt with in the past. What I found is that when you have something unique, it does require us to be careful. It does require us to keep in mind why we're here, and does require us to protect all of the rights. And all we're asking you to do is to protect Mr. Simpson's rights in that regard. And I think that 1120, Garcia, even Sirpongi, I mean, I think that it doesn't say that the defendant can't be present. It talks about the lawyer having been waived. So I think that where he wants to be present, I think he has a right to be present. And I think the reasons for him not being present are not persuasive. And I would ask the court to consider this, and let's move on and let's try and resolve this matter in the course of the next day or so. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, counsel.
I'm sorry, I don't want to, I just want to straighten out one misconception that perhaps has been created. I don't feel necessarily that Mr. Simpson's presence is going to have a chilling effect. I feel that the setting that we will be forced to be in and the number of people that will be forced to be present will be the problem and produce a more chilling effect. It's clear that when we have a more intimate setting where there are fewer people, that we can expect a little more candor, and the jurors will feel more secure and more calm, and that's what we want to encourage. And that was my point, Your Honor. And moreover, the case law makes it very clear that the defendant is entitled to be represented, and he has very able representation. And his lawyers will fight very vigorously in his behalf, as they always have, and they will continue to do. And his rights will be fully protected by their presence in chambers at any conference that may be conducted. And I think that that's what the court has to look at in terms of what is required, and that will certainly be observed by this court.
All right, thank you, counsel. All right, I don't find Penal Code Section 1120 to be controlling in this particular issue, and the 1988 California Supreme Court opinion, People versus Sirpong, at 45 Cal 3rd, 548, and specifically the text that begins at page 570, and the discussion on 571 and 572 does directly address this issue. The matter will be addressed by the court in chambers out of the presence of the defendant. All right, we'll take a 20-minute recess, and we'll start with the inquiry. All right. And let me ask Ms. Clark, as far as we have 18 jurors to talk to, my guess is we'll be at this most of, certainly the balance of today and probably the balance of tomorrow, is my guess, since we have 18 people to talk to, perhaps 20 minutes, 30 minutes apiece, depending on where it leads us.
I really think that's a fair estimate.
All right, then my guess is that as far as the presentation of testimony and Ms. Mazzola is concerned, we probably ought to then stand in recess, today being the 18th, until the 20th. All right, does that cause any scheduling problems?
All right, we can bring this down and get ready. Now, what they're doing there is I'm just reading this here from the Daily from April 19th, 1995 is when this happened. The judge in the OJ Simpson murder trial began the delicate and lengthy process yesterday of interviewing each juror confidentially about recent allegations of racial conflict amongst the panelists. After police criminalist Dennis Fung completed his 9th and final day on the witness stand, Judge Lance Ito postponed further testimony until tomorrow while he meets one-on-one with the jurors in his chambers. He said he will talk to all the panelists, the 12 members of the jury, and the 6 remaining alternates. I expect it will take about 20 to 30 minutes for each juror, said Ito, recessing the court 2 hours early to begin the interviews. As the weary Fung stepped from the witness stand, where he had been interrogated relentlessly by the defense for days, he stunned the courtroom by walking over and shaking hands with members of the defense team, including Simpson. Fung started with the prosecutors and worked his way down the line until he came face to face with Simpson. Both men smiled as they shook hands, though neither spoke. The next witness to be called for the prosecution is criminalist Andrea Mazzola, who worked as Fung's assistant when they collected evidence June 13th, the day after Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were slashed to death. Before beginning the juror interviews yesterday, Ito rejected a defense request that Simpson be present during the conferences, which will be attended by lawyers from both the defense and the prosecution. Defense attorney Johnny Cochran argued that Simpson had a legal right to be present at all critical stages of this trial and that the inquiry was at a critical stage. It's the defendant that has the most to lose in this entire thing, Cochran told Ito. The lawyer added that having to later translate for Simpson what happened in the interviews would not be adequate. Cochran insisted Simpson's presence would not have a chilling effect on the jurors and that the defense had no intention of questioning the panelists. But Marcia Clark argued that the inquiry was of such a confidential nature that it should be held in the intimate setting of the judge's chambers. For security reasons, Simpson is not allowed to attend in-chambers conferences. Without explanation, Ito ruled that Simpson does not have the right to be present, citing an appellate case which Ito said gives him authority to exclude the defendant. The probe concerns allegations by dismissed juror Jeanette Harris that the jury has become so torn by racial conflicts that black and white members exercise and watch movies separately. Separate but equal.
I remember this. I remember there was that whole thing about going to Ross or going to Target and something about preferential treatment because they chose to go to Target, and the black jurors were saying that, you know, that they should have known that black jurors would prefer to go to Ross. I don't know. It was a whole thing. Was that what this all was? Because I mean, I was trying to remember what the racial conflict exactly was.
In an interview with Ito last week, Harris described the pressure cooker atmosphere where the jury that has been sequestered for 3 months. Her remarks were contained in a transcript that was released by the court the next day. Harris told of incidents of physical abuse, including kicking and hitting between some of the jurors. He also said that one juror even complained about breathing the same air as another juror.
Oh,
she added that the deputy sheriffs who were guarding the panel have shown favoritism toward white jurors by allowing them extra shopping and phone privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what all of that was about.
I mean, considering how long they were sequestered for, you can imagine. I mean, they're put up at this hotel. They can't watch TV, you know, because they can't really know what's going on in the news. They are obviously getting on each other's nerves. I feel like it's a very difficult situation for any juror to be in.
And they're only 1/3 of the way through the trial at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Elsie Merritt, 18 jurors. Right? Was there like 12 jurors and 12 alternates? No, there's 12 jurors and 6 alternates, but one of them was excused. So they've bled a couple of jurors. I can't remember exactly how many alternates there were, but at this point there was 6 left.
Yeah, there was a certain point where a couple of jurors were dismissed for concerns that came up during the trial, and they had been there for a while. So I don't think that happened now. I think that happens, you know, a little further down the line.
How many jurors were dismissed from the OJ trial? 10 jurors were dismissed. So they would have had 22 at least. 10 people were ultimately dismissed from the jury during the course of the trial, leaving only 2 alternates remaining at the end. So there was 24 chosen, I guess.
Oh, so that that was a correct chat. From Elsie Merritt. Elsie Merritt guessed it. 12 jurors, 12 alternate jurors. Nicely done.
There you go. Nice. Okay. Well, all right. Let's bring up Mazzola's testimony. We'll do a little bit of Mazzola to kind of wet our whistle for next week.
Sounds good.
And to wet your whistle for things you have not earned. We have not unlocked Doggo achievement, but this is just so cute. I couldn't help it. They're just like sitting there.
Oh.
There's little doggy butts while they're
They
sleeping
look
down
so
the bed.
comfy.
Yeah.
They're so. Do they snuggle together a lot?
Yep, that's what they do.
That's really cute. I love it.
So yeah, that's what they're doing right now.
They're adorable.
All right, let's bring up the Mazzola. Mazzola corn oil.
What?
There we go.
What was that? Oh, sometimes you're not, Duck.
Well, you know, it's like Mazzola corn oil. Everybody uses that, don't they?
Mazzola. What?
For cooking. It's cooking oil.
I've never used it, but.
Huh. It's like one of the single most popular brands of cooking oil in the world.
Oh,
good morning,
I'll take your word for it.
All right, the people may call their next witness.
Call Andrea Mazzola to the stand.
Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pleaded of this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Please have a seat for witness stand and please spell your first and last names for the record.
Andrea Mazzola, Andrea Mazzola.
Andrea.
All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Good morning, Ms. Mazzola.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Valley Girl?
Ms. Mazzola, directing your attention to the date of June the 13th of 1994, did you participate in some evidence collection with Dennis Fung at the location of 360?
I hope that's not
North
a euphemism.
Rockingham and 875 Bundy in Los Angeles?
Yes, I did.
And on the 14th, did you also participate in some collection at the a Bronco in the print shed?
Yes, I did.
Now, before getting into those matters, I'd like to ask you a little bit about your training and your experience. First of all, what is your job title?
Criminalist 1.
And a criminalist is?
We work in the crime lab, collection, preservation of evidence, and analyzing the evidence, testifying as an expert witness in court.
Okay, and is part of your job description as a criminalist that you actually have to analyze evidence?
Yes, it is.
As part of analyzing evidence, do you generate analyzed evidence reports?
Yes, we do.
And then as part of your job description, are you also required to testify in court as an expert witness?
It was just bad audio for the last little
Was that
part.
true when you were
of
first
Fung's
hired with the Los
testimony.
Angeles Police Department?
That was
as a
them, not
criminalist?
me.
Yes, it was.
Now, before you became a criminalist 1 at the Los Angeles Police Department, did you have some formal training in school?
Yes, I did.
And what degree do you hold?
I hold a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science.
And where is that from?
California State University, Sacramento.
Before you were allowed to take courses that were specific to forensic science, did you have to take general background
ropey.
science courses?
Yes.
And what kinds of courses did you take that were general background science courses before you got into the specifics of forensic science?
We had to take general chemistry, organic chemistry, qualitative analysis, biochemistry, quantitative analysis,
all right.
chemistry. Biochemistry, we had to take some biology courses such as anatomy, genetics, basic biology.
Did you take microbiology?
Yes, I did.
Organic chemistry?
Right.
All right. And after you were finished with taking these various general science courses, did you then take some courses that were specific to the area of criminalistics?
Yes.
Approximately how many courses did you take in
criminalistic.
school that were specific to the area of criminalistics?
It was approximately 5.
Was one of those courses a trace analysis course?
Yes, it was.
And what did that involve?
It involved
the analyzing of trace evidence such as hair, fiber, minute glass particles, extremely small pieces of evidence.
I'm here. I
Did
just
you
have to
do
turn
any
the camera and
serology in
microphone
that
off while I
course?
make some adjustments to my
We
microphone
did a
here.
basic ABO blood typing experiment.
Okay, and what is serology? If you could just give us a general definition.
Serology deals with the analyzation of bodily fluids.
Okay. Now, did this professor that taught you in the trace analysis course use any particular technique to impress on you the importance of maintaining control of your evidence?
Yes, if he thought that we were not maintaining control over our evidence, if he thought we were leaving it out on the bench top, he would confiscate the evidence. And since the evidence was your unknown, you had to buy it back with points. And each report was only worth 50 points to begin with. So if you lost 20 points buying your evidence, you more or less couldn't pass that one section.
Did you lose any points during this course as a result of not maintaining control of your evidence?
No.
All right. And did this technique that the professor used seem to work in impressing on you?
It worked extremely well.
Okay. Now, as a student, when you were there at the California State University, did you participate with other students in starting any organizations in the area of criminalistics?
Yes, since forensic science, was such a small major, we wanted to try to bring more people into the area, at least let them become familiar with it. So we started an organization which became recognized by the university to promote forensic science, to give people an idea of what it was.
Okay. Did you also begin?
Well, Donald Sutherland's on the camera. Can anybody still hear me?
I can hear you.
Does it sound worse than it did before?
Yes.
Okay. So I put my microphone way up here. I'm messing around with new microphone locations. So I should probably not do that in the middle of a stream, but yeah, all right. Put it back where it's been heretofore. I'll work on it later.
That sounds better.
Yeah, we'll put it back where it goes. I know. It's just weird because it's either blocking the keyboard or blocking the monitor. And for some reason, it's been that way for like 9 months, but for some reason, it's been bothering me recently. And I don't know. I'm just getting crotchety in my old age. All right, let's get back to Donald Sutherland. Sorry for that weird interruption.
In attending meetings as a student of the California Association of Criminalists.
Yes.
And what is that association?
It's an organization of criminalists, people in the field. They attend meetings, seminars, classes to gain more information in the field, to share ideas, new techniques.
Okay. And when you graduated from the California State University, did you begin working at a law enforcement agency?
Yes, I
as
did.
Criminals? What agency was that?
It was the Kern County District Attorney's Office, crime
F. Lee
lab in
Bailey's back
Bakersfield.
in court.
And what was your job title there when you began with the Kern County District Attorney's Office in their crime lab?
I was a criminalist.
What were you doing in the crime lab?
I was assigned to the toxicology unit.
And toxicology is what?
It's the analysis of blood and urine for drugs of abuse.
So you are dealing with biological specimens in toxicology?
Right.
Now, how long were you at the Kern County District Attorney's Office crime lab?
It's approximately 18 months.
And when you were there working in toxicology, was there anything that you learned in terms of handling biological specimens and avoiding cross-contamination that would be relevant towards processing a crime scene?
Well, anytime you're working with biologicals
Don't touch Fung's
or any
DNA.
evidence, you have to be careful of cross-contamination. You only work on one item or one sample at a time. You never have two items open at the same time. You are very careful about the utensils you use, whether it's pipettes, which are usually disposable, or tweezers or scissors, anything.
Okay. And when you were there at the Kern County District Attorney's Office Crime Lab, did you have the opportunity to see what other criminalists were doing in areas that were not involved with toxicology?
Yes.
So did you sort of get an overview of different areas?
No, Megan, Johnny, I just totally changed the
Yes,
location
I
of the
did.
microphone.
Did you ever have the opportunity of seeing people at the Kern County Crime Lab, the criminalists, processing bloody clothing or clothing from rape cases that might contain biological evidence?
Yes, I did.
While you were there, did you join any other organizations that are involved in the area of criminalistics?
Well, I joined the American Academy of Forensic Sciences.
And what is the American Academy of Forensic Sciences as opposed to the California Association of Criminalists?
They're similar in that they're both organizations dealing with the area of criminalistics, forensic science, the law. The American Academy takes a wider view. We have people who are in the law. We have dentists. There are different sections dealing with the different professions.
Okay. Did you also join the California Association of Criminalists?
Yes, I joined as a member.
Was that in the same time frame?
Yes, it was.
And you were there for, you said, 18 months?
Yes.
Now, after you left the Kern County District Attorney's Office Crime Lab, where did you go?
I started looking for another job.
And did you find employment as a criminalist?
I found employment as a toxicologist in a private lab.
And what was that lab?
Valley Toxicology.
So as a toxicologist, were you doing the same thing that you were doing when you were working in the Kern County toxicology section?
Yes.
And you were doing the actual, what, is it a chemical analysis or a physical analysis of the biological specimens?
It's more of a chemical analysis.
Okay. Are you testing for anything other than drugs?
No, just drugs.
Okay. When were you at this toxicology, Valley Toxicology? What were the dates that you were there?
Oh, let's see. Let me check my. It's approximately May of 93 to about the middle of December of 93.
And after you left Valley Toxicology, where did you go?
I was offered a position with LAPD.
When did you start with LAPD?
January 24th, 1994.
Okay. And when you were you hired alone, or were there other people that were hired in the same group?
There were 3 other people who were hired approximately the same time as I was.
Now, in approximately April of 1994, did you go through a mini academy?
Yes.
And what did that involve?
It involved showing us the way that the LAPD crime lab collects their evidence, the different sections, what they had to offer us, what they had available to help us at a crime scene, or analyzing the evidence once we got back to the lab.
Did they teach you how to physically pick up evidence and collect evidence at a crime scene?
Yes.
Did they teach you how to collect bodily fluids?
Yes, they did.
And how was that done?
I had a friend who was a hand model. That was a ridiculously rigorous thing to be.
It was a combination. They first told us
Was his name George Costanza?
why they do it this way, why they need to pick up, be it blood or whatever. Then we had practical hands-on where we would actually pick up the blood from different substrates, concrete, carpet, stone.
So were these mock crime scenes, or what were they when you were picking up this blood in the mini academy?
It really wasn't like a mock crime scene. They just had the blood on the different substrates that we would tend to run into out in the real world. So we would have hands-on experience on how to manipulate the stain, how to collect it, preserve it, to learn, to be careful about contamination.
Did they also teach you other techniques such as tool marks, dust prints, shoe prints, and the like? Right. Now, how difficult was it for you to learn how to pick up blood, biological evidence?
It's not hard at all.
Okay. And as a criminalist, when you start as a criminalist 1, are you expected to go out to crime scenes and pick up evidence?
We are expected to accompany the more experienced criminalists when we can. We watch them, the way they process scenes. We are allowed to pick up evidence under their supervision. It gives us more training under supervision.
How long are you a criminalist 1 before you can become a criminalist 2?
We're criminalist 1 for a year and a half.
Okay. Now, is there some aspect in which, even though you're a criminalist 1 and you've been taught how to do these how to physically collect the evidence, is there some aspect in which you're still being trained in crime scene investigation during that 18 months?
In that period, it's more like we were being trained in the discretionary area to go to a crime scene, to look at it, to decide what is evidence, what we can pick up that would be of value, what can be analyzed back at the lab. That's the part that we were being trained in as criminalist 1s.
Well, are you still being trained in the physical part of how you actually physically pick up a shoe print or how you physically pick up a piece of biological evidence?
To a certain extent, for the most part, we are trained in the technical area. It's the discretionary area, making the decisions that we are in the process of learning.
What all does this discretionary area involve in terms of being a criminalist? Is it just what to pick up and what not to pick up?
Well, also it involves dealing with the people you'll find at the scene, the detectives, the coroner's people, determining what is viable evidence versus what is really not part of the scene.
When you're at a scene, do you simply just pick up anything and everything that happens to be in the area or within a certain diameter of the bodies in the case of
Don't you just
murder?
love all
How
of
do you
this
go about
witness
making
qualifying
that kind of
stuff?
decision?
It's so
it's my
thrilling.
favorite.
That again is the discretionary
I'm on the
area.
edge of my seat.
You have to look at the whole scene, try to get an idea of what could have happened, and start looking for items that could be connected. It's better to pick up a little more than not enough.
Is there any problem with just indiscriminately collecting everything that you see?
Yes, because you'll spend all your time picking up every single little bit of paper or whatever, and you're not adding towards figuring out what happened. You're adding a lot of garbage is what it is.
And is it this area in which during the 18 months you are still being trained in terms of how to evaluate a crime scene, how to make this kind of decision?
Yes, that's the area.
Now, prior to the work that you did on June the 13th, had you actually gone out on crime scenes and seen other people collect evidence and collect some evidence yourself?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you listed the number of crime scenes, do you distinguish between a crime scene and a car search?
I did.
What?
Some people don't, but at that point I did.
Okay, so some people put the two of them together.
Right.
All right. And with respect to your first crime scene, did you actually pick up any evidence at that crime scene?
Yes, under supervision.
And was there any biological evidence that was involved in that first crime scene?
There was a lot of biological evidence.
Can you give us just a guesstimate as to how many stains? I mean, are we talking about
How many
less than a
stains have you
dozen?
seen in your life,
More than a
Mazzola?
dozen.
Did you pick up some of those stains yourself?
Yes,
Ew.
I did.
Now, when you processed that first crime scene, did you get any feedback in terms of how you done?
Dennis Fung is a human stain.
The people that were processing the scene.
You did good, Mazzola. Now collect my stain.
For the scene.
So this was your first crime scene and you received a commendation for it?
Right.
And was that presented to you in an award ceremony?
They mentioned it at our annual luncheon. They read the commendations.
Okay. Now, did you also process another crime scene after this and before June the 13th that had biological evidence in it?
Yes.
And did that have multiple stains as well?
Yes, it did.
Did you pick up those stains?
Yes, I did.
Were there any other crime scenes that you participated in before June the 13th that had biological evidence that you physically participated in collecting?
There was one that had biological evidence, but the collection procedure was not the procedures used on the other scenes.
Okay, now was that a car search or?
Right, this was a car search.
Okay, and
she's nervous
you
as
said that
hell.
You do make a distinction.
Her mouth is so dry.
I do.
Well, if she watched what happened to Fung, I'd imagine she would be very nervous.
Right.
That's pretty normal.
Right.
She shouldn't have watched the Fungening, but
and before today's date,
rumors
did you participate in any
fly,
more
I'm sure.
Crime scenes that had biological evidence that
Not
needed
an
to be
expert
collected?
witness.
Yes.
And can you give us an approximate number?
She wouldn't have seen it, would she?
Of scenes?
Yeah.
She shouldn't have.
And include car searches.
Oh, okay. For biologicals, there were 2 actual scenes.
Okay.
Scenes.
Now,
but so far she's
the,
doing better than Fung
crime
did.
lab, the Los Angeles Police Department
True.
crime lab, do they have a position that's known as criminalist trainee?
No.
Is that any kind of an official word that's used,
No.
trainee? All right. But as you said, there is, to some extent, you are being trained in crime scene processing and investigation.
Correct.
As criminalist 1. At the crime scenes, the crime scenes that you participated in June the 13th and also on the 14th in the Bronco, if we divide the work of a criminalist up the way that you've suggested into the mental and discretionary type components and the physical collection components.
Oh,
Who was responsible for the mental or the discretionary type components?
That is the criminalist 3 area.
Okay. Now, going back to a second to this mini academy, when you were going through the mini academy, do they actually teach you
anything at all?
Specifically what the people in serology are going to do with the evidence after you've collected it in the case of biological evidence?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. And do they train you actually how to do DNA tests?
No.
So are they training you the physical collection procedures?
That's correct.
How about don't leave it in a hot van?
Now, I'd like to direct your attention back to the date of June the 13th of 1994. At some point in the early morning, did you receive a telephone call that awakened you?
I was already awake.
Okay.
But I did get the call.
And what time was that?
It was approximately 5:25 in the morning.
All right.
People like Andrea Mazzola and Chandler Remington freak me out. Why would you be awake at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Crime scene.
That's about time to go to sleep.
Now, are all criminalists at the laboratory expected to respond to crime scenes?
We are all put on a rotation.
And how often are you on this rotation, approximately?
Approximately 3 months. Every 3 months we come up.
You asked me to be here.
And
This
for
early.
what length of a period of time are you on call?
It's your fault.
Every 3 months.
Sometimes we are on call for a week. We take the evening calls at night. Sometimes we are assigned to the weekend. and that's
Evening
24
calls at
hours a day.
night? What the hell
So on
you
this
say?
particular occasion on June 13th, did this simply happen to be the occasion that you were on call?
Yes, it was.
What did you have to do after you got this call notifying you that you needed to respond to a crime scene?
I called my criminalist 3, Mr. Fung, and informed him that we had a scene and we were to meet at the laboratory.
And was he also on call?
Yes.
For what purpose did you need to meet at the laboratory?
We needed to meet there to pick up the crime scene truck.
And did you do so?
Yes.
And did you then drive in the truck to the location, to the Rockingham location?
Yes.
Now, while you were going to the Rockingham location in the truck, was there any conversation with respect to filling out the crime scene identification checklist, the officer in charge?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to take a look at People's 161.
All righty. That looks like about a good time to end. We got through all of her qualifications. So next OJ Simpson Day, we can get into the meat and bones of her testimony. I think it's a good place to pull the ripcord today, I believe.
Sounds good.
Dennis Fung. Dennis Fung has left the building.
He's gone. What do we do?
There's like a little hole in my heart where Fung used to be.
I prefer him to this witness. He's well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what she's like when she's interrogated. But well, I mean, I don't interrogate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just I liked Fung. I enjoyed that. I'm sad. It's the end of an era.
But yeah, we will have some more Andrea Mazzola next week. So, Chandler Remington.
Yes.
What do you got coming up in your life in the next little bit?
I'm doing Laid Back News tomorrow with Eric Hunley, and I presume you might be there.
I will be there.
Wonderful. And the Fuck It Friday stream. That's what's coming up in my immediate future. Now, I might have a surprise stream that I am doing on my own channel snuck in there somewhere. We'll see. I have an idea for a show that I want to do, so stay tuned. I might tweet out a link sometime between today and tomorrow.
All right. So there is no Melly trial until Monday for reasons. One, the court doesn't meet on Friday, and Wednesday afternoon and Thursday they are out because the gigantic robot lawyer chick, she got ill apparently.
That's the defense attorney, by the way,
Yes.
for those of you who are not in the know.
Was there any question? I mean, you could figure that out pretty easy, I think. So Friday will be Fuck It Friday, where we just say fuck it. We have a giant panel of guests on, and the whole purpose of that is it's a drunken, boozy griftathon where I try to liberate as much money from you as possible, so that we don't have to beg for shekels, dollars, dineros, krona, whatever, for the rest of the month. It's just everything after that is icing on the cake. We designate our one day a month as a super grift day. The more money you throw at me, the more I drink. $100 gets a shot. $100 super chat gets a premium whiskey shot, and an aggregate of $100 gets a whatever I feel like shot. So that's all it is. And we have a huge panel of guests. It's open phones Friday. There is no topic. We just go with the flow and see what happens. And they're quite entertaining. Now we have a very large list, and these are people that have asked to be on so far. So, it's a thing. It's an event. It's what people look forward to.
You don't want to miss it. It's always fun.
Yeah, and now we've taken steps so that I can remember them and I can have fun too. But let's see. We have... I'm bringing up the guest list so far. And again, it continues to grow as people say, hey, The guest list so far is Hayden, Aussie Overlord, Danny on Direct, Ian Runkle, Steph the Alter Nerd, Potentially Criminal, Sean, Chandler, Remington, Valhalla Awaits, Flux, Steve Gosney, Megan Fox, the writer, the medium smart writer, not the thumbs, Meme Copium, let's try that again. Megan Fox, Meme Copium, Nina Infinity, Nicholas Starr of Ari Jacob, MLS Law Show, MG Law, Jessica Reloaded, and Waifu Kron. Those are the people that have checked in so far and said, "Hey, I want to come on."
That's an
there
epic
we
list.
go.
Epic.
That's what's going to be on Friday. Monday, we might do a little bit of a Maritime Monday because I kind of miss it. We missed Maritime Monday this week, so we'll probably do a little clip show of people on boats doing dumb things. And that'll be Melly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, OJ and Melly on Thursday. Next Friday will be a Taylor Shabusiness warm-up stream.
Awesome.
And then all week from the 24th to the 28th will be the Taylor Shabusiness trial. Then there's like a week and a half, and then I'm gone for 2 weeks on vacation to Anime Matsuri in Houston, Texas from the 10th to the 13th of August, and then off to Utah. So that's my month in a nutshell. Thanks, chat, for being here. You guys are awesome.
Yes, thank you, chat. And thank you, mods, as well.
That'd be super, super awesome. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. We might have to prolong this here. Hang on just a second. Please stand by. Please stand by. Please stand by. Standing by. Please stand by. Hang on, I'm scrambling here. Oh, well, I wasn't supposed to click on that. That yelled in my face. Because there's a developing issue that may be necessitating us staying here just a little bit longer.
Oh?
Hang tight real quick.
Whatever could it be?
Let me see. Well, I do not see it because, yeah. Anyway, Misha Cavarno said, "Did you see on Court TV they're showing the competency hearing for Shabusiness? It's not on Court TV on YouTube. It's not on courttv.com, and she didn't send us a link, so sorry. Well, if anybody can find this, said this was 5 minutes ago she sent this, so
could it
if
be
someone can find it, because I can't, then we'll check it out. But
could it be Long Cuck, maybe?
Nope, she's a Court TV. Yep, not seeing it anywhere.
No, I don't see it.
So if you're gonna send things like that, like, are you watching it? Send a link so I can go to it if it's something I want to go to. But yep, I see nothing anywhere.
I don't find anything either.
Yep. I see it not anywhere. Oh well. I keep getting muted somehow. I'm perfectly fine. I can hear myself.
I can hear you.
Are you going to live stream in Matsuri? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I'll probably bring my laptop, so if you wanna, you're good.
All right. Well, I'm seeing nobody in chat is responding, and I'm not seeing anything coming in on Twitter. So I will assume that perhaps there was a miscommunication somewhere, or we just missed it. What should business link? I saw no should business link. I saw no should business link. I have gotten nothing on Twitter. So apparently not. You must have. Are you sure you sent it to me on Twitter? Because I don't see it.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, put it. Yeah.
I feel like that would be easiest.
Not. Well, I can only do that if you're a mod.
Oh, you can only put a link in the chat if you are a mod?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I see.
But anyway, Is it on Court TV? At least say that. CourtTV.com or Court TV on YouTube or what? Where are we looking here, peeps?
Do we need to play a game of charades?
Apparently, when sending texts about things like this, be as specific as possible. It makes it work much easier that way.
It's live on Court TV? I mean, I didn't find it, but...
Well, TV. I'm in Korea. I can't turn on my TV and watch Court TV.
Well, is it being streamed is the question.
It's apparently not being streamed.
No. Well, if it's not being streamed, then there's no way for you to access it.
Hang
I
on,
see,
let's see here.
Nothing.
All right. They to search this string in YouTube. PL4MSXW8.
Alternate jurors?
O or a Q. It's an O and a Q.
Oh! Okay. I found something. I don't know if this is anything good, but I'll send it to you.
Alternate jurors. So, are they just streaming a TV screen?
Yeah, I don't know. I sent it to you on Twitter.
What was that, Chandler?
I sent it to you on Twitter in direct messages.
You can just do it right here in the private chat. It's much easier.
Yeah, no, you're right. I searched. I looked at YouTube on my phone.
Yeah, and so now I've got to open it up in Chrome, and then I have to copy it and paste it into Edge. And
Okay.
Oh, that's the one I'm watching. Yeah.
Should I
So
try
it looks
again?
like they're just streaming a TV channel. It looks like, or.
Have you got it, or do you want me to pull it up?
And I'm watching it, but yeah.
You got it. Well, what do you want to do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's just it would just be sniping someone's rebroadcast of television right now. So, yeah.
All right.
Not worth it. Not worth it.
Okay.
We'll just look at the results.
Sure.
But thank you so much for the heads up on that. Flux, $5. Thank you so much for the super chat. Jeff, did you see the thing about that one guy who did the thing? Oh, yeah, on that one place. Yeah, I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw in that one place, that one guy that did that one thing. Yeah.
Did you see the thing about I don't know if it was like the otter or the sea lion or something that was like stealing people's longboards and surfing?
Nope.
And they were trying to like relocate it. It was very cute. Apparently it's become a menace to the area. Because we were talking about seals earlier. I don't know if it's like a seal or an otter or a sea lion, something like that. It's very cute.
Okay.
And it's really good at surfing. So keeps like stealing people's surfboards or their wakeboards.
All right. Well, shoot.
Anyway.
Yeah, it seems like it's being broadcast on TV, and they're just sniping the TV stream.
All right.
All righty. Well, that's it's not exactly what we hoped for, but
There'll be plenty of time for Shabizness.
Yep. All right. But stay tuned next Friday for the run-up to Shabiz, assuming there's not some major giant happening during this hearing today. Don't expect anything. Expect it to be business as usual. Shabizness as usual. Yes.
Yeah.
Shabizness as usual. All right, folks, we're going to shut this down. I'm going to go to sleep. Thank you for admitting that, Jeff. Cutting and pasting the streamers. I know it does, but I can't cut and paste on the StreamYard thing. And to cut and paste what you sent, then I would have to open the studio on YouTube and do it. There's reasons, yeah. So, yeah. Right, we've got it.
You tried.
Yeah, I have to use Edge because Chrome does not play nicely with StreamYard because Chrome is so, extension and add-on heavy that it causes unnecessary and undue amounts of buffering.
Oh yeah, that's
And
why my microphone was crackling just from using
Yeah.
Chrome because Chrome sucks.
Yeah. So, all right, that's it. We are done. Thank you, Chandler, for being here for
Thank you.
the end of Fung.
Always. Thank you for having
Chat.
me. As always.
Thank you for being here for the end of Fung. Vice Racks, Vice Squad chat is the best ever. And mods, thank you for being moddy and doing all your moddy things. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for your ongoing and continuous generosity and support of the channel. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow evening, Friday evening, US time, early Saturday morning, UK time for Fuck It Friday with our giant panel of guests. Say goodnight to the dog butts. We are out of here. Good night, dog butts.
Oh, good night, Yoda. Good night, Strawberry.
See ya. Thank you, Chandler. Thank you, chat. Thank you, mods. Bye now.